Ready? All right. We're trying to stay on point here. All right. I'm going to do an introduction. Well, I got to tell you, you saw her on the video, and now you're going to see her in person. Chief Chavez, in a nutshell, is the pride and joy of Texas Southmost College. She's a reflection of the wonderful work that we do, the sacrifice that she's done to move forward. But the essence of her beginning started at Texas Southmost College. It is with great joy that I introduce to you your next speaker, Chief Chavez.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see all of you here on a Saturday. I was going to say a beautiful Saturday. It is still beautiful. It's a little rainy, a little misty, but it's still beautiful because we are here in Brownsville, Texas, in the great state of Texas. I'm thrilled to be here today with all of you. Isn't the president just great? Let's give him a round of applause. The president has so much enthusiasm, and he is so genuine. You know, that enthusiasm doesn't stop. He's like that on stage and off stage, whether he's sober or not. He is always like this. I've seen him both ways, right? But anyway, listen, it's a pleasure to be here. I am thrilled to be home. Brownsville is my native city. I grew up in Brownsville, Texas. I wasn't born here. I was born in Dallas, but I was raised here by two wonderful human beings. And it's been wonderful to be home. I've spent 27 years in the United States Border Patrol. I started when I was 12. No, I'm just kidding. I started when I was 25 years old. I graduated from a local high school, Gladys Porter High School. I'm very proud of that. And I did come to Texas Southmost College, a local community college back in the day. And I made some great friends here before I moved on with my academic life and then as well as my professional career. Being a Border Patrol agent was not my number one dream. I actually wanted to be a prosecutor. I love the movies on TV about lawyers and being in a courtroom for some reason. That's what attracted me, right? And then I ended up working along the way. I think one of my first jobs was working at the Nueces County Sheriff's Department in Corpus Christi because my parents moved us there after graduating high school. So I started working at the Sheriff's Department. That's the area that I found interest in law enforcement. And I became a peace officer, deputy sheriff there at the Nueces County Sheriff's Office. I did that for a little bit. And then I became a police officer in the small town of Taft, Texas. And it was there that I met a Border Patrol agent, woman. She was assigned to, Yuma sector in Yuma, Arizona. And little did I know that our little conversation turned into a recruitment. And she was actually recruiting me that night at a barbecue that I didn't even think she was actually doing that, but she did. And thankfully, I went ahead and joined. I think I applied that following Monday, and in 4 months, they called, they said, we're interested in you. Are you willing to join the Border Patrol? And I said, yes. So 4 months later, I find myself in Glencoe, Georgia, joining the academy. 5 months after that, I graduate with another 48 Border Patrol agents, and my first assignment was California. And ever since then, I think I thought, hey, it would be easy to come home. I mean, look, there's just so much border out there. I'm sure they're gonna need me back in Texas. Well, it took a while, right? 27 years, but I couldn't be happier, right? So I'm back home now. I'm the chief of the great RGV. How about that? Oh man, so much pride, so much pride. The men and women of the Rio Grande Valley are patriots. They love the Rio Grande Valley. They're here, they love the region. Their families, their children go to our schools, their spouses are invested in our community. We're all invested in the community. We love our local schools, especially academia. You know, as the president said, you get influence young in life. And our mentors and our coaches, those people that mentored me, those people that guided me back in the day, certainly put me on the right path. And here I stand before you. Sometimes I sit in my office in Edinburgh and I look at that wall and I see my bachelor's degree, a girl from, the valley, from Southmost, La Posada, an area that's very much underdeveloped, very much hardship in that community. that really, parents that work so hard, that were very proud when you have a high school diploma. Never really expected more than that, right? And here I am with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and then a master's degree in Homeland Security Studies from Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California. Who would have thought? And then the only woman chief in the United States Border Patrol. It can't get any better than this. It just can't. And it's just a blessing. It's just a complete blessing, and I'm just so very proud. But on to today, right? I'm just so very happy to be here with all of you and be here at Texas Southmost College. And I welcome every single one of you. It's an honor for me to be here. The Rio Grande Valley and the United States Border Patrol have a very important mission. We have a very complex environment. We have riverine operations, checkpoint operations, our immigration duties. They go beyond just immigration now. There's a lot of important missions that our Border Patrol agents have, charged with. They also work at the airports. They work with a lot of other agencies and different task forces. There's a lot of different areas of interest that other agencies seek in our agents because they're very well skilled. Our coastal area, as you know, many of you, I looked at your agenda. You spent some time in South Padre Island. That's great. It's a beautiful area. But our coastal environment is also being exploited, right? They're being exploited by transnational criminal organizations and by drug cartels. We have a beautiful, beautiful environment in the coast, and we are working with our partners like Coast Guard. They have an office out here in South Padre. We also work with our air and marine operations that are part of CBP. We have currently a blimp that's up in the sky, right? And when they put it up there, obviously the population got a little nervous. They didn't know what was going on. We want to keep an eye on the water. That's our interest, not the population or the citizens. Of course, it's more so on what's going on in the water because they are exploiting our waterways. And a lot of narcotics is going around the waterways, primarily cocaine and marijuana. And, just recently here at our immigration checkpoints, we've had a lot of seizures of narcotics. Very proudly, our agent seized about 3,000 pounds of methamphetamines, liquid methamphetamine. It was like the third largest seizure that had been done in DEA history. And that is something super important to us because they're getting a lot smarter, the drug cartels, as well as the criminal organizations trying to smuggle this in. And they're getting creative because they know we have a phenomenal team of canines. And these dogs are super skilled. We train them with the best of the best technology and ability for them to be able to detect not only narcotics, but also people that are being concealed through some of those conveyances. We also work with a lot of different types of technologies, right? And the best of those technologies have assisted our workforce with making the job a little bit easier for them. The agents of today are very different than the agents of yesterday. Our agents today, as you know, generational changes, right? They're very used to those phones, and they love the newest technologies that have come our way to help them do a better job at securing our border. And they have become very adaptive to that. But the traditional ways of what we do on that border are still in existence. They're still out there doing the sign cutting techniques where they go and look for footprints on the sand or on the dirt, but they're still out there doing a lot of rescues. To date, we have had over 95 rescues just this fiscal year. Our agents are out there every day rescuing people. And it just warms my heart because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And we look at these people that come out here with very long journeys from a very much far away that are seeking a better life. And for us, the agents of the Border Patrol, we know that there's different types of populations, right? We have those that are exactly doing that, seeking a better life because their countries are no longer able to provide that. And then we have the other type of population, the people that are out here looking to cause harm and looking to evade authorities in their own countries because they are wanted there in their countries or because they have criminal records. And because they're trying to evade apprehension coming in through different ways into this country. Many people know that to immigrate legally, they have to come through a port of entry. Those that do not come to a port of entry, obviously, are going to come between them, and that's where we work. A lot of folks confuse the Office of Field Operations, which are the officers in blue, and then the officers in green, which are Border Patrol agents only work between ports of entry, and then the officers in blue are the agents that work in blue at the ports of entry. We're still one CBP, but a lot of times there's confusion. The legal way to come, obviously, is through the port of entry. As of recent years, we, the Border Patrol, have become very busy. Here in the Rio Grande Valley, to date, we have encountered about 95,000 people to date. Last year, we closed out the fiscal year with over 468,000 encounters. The year prior to that, we closed over 500,000. It was 540,000 encounters. We're on track to be close to about 500,000. But we are not the leading sector on the southern border this year. This year, it is El Paso sector. And I was just recently in El Paso. You know, El Paso was a sector I was assigned to for about 3 years prior to coming here. I always tell the acting chief that's there now, I say, you know, Peter, I was there just a bit ago. I got here in October. I think I was leaving and the Venezuelan nationals were arriving. And they were coming in droves. And I felt terrible for the agents because it was overwhelming. There was just a large amount of them. And I knew that the resourcing that El Paso had was not going to be enough. We were trying our very best at the time to try and balance capacity. The Title 42 authority that was granted to us back in 2020 was because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we knew it was a CDC authority, the Center for Disease Control Authority, to help us manage the spread of COVID-19 within the population of the people we encountered, within, most importantly, our agents, because they're the ones encountering them, and within those people that would end up at our facility. But it has transitioned now into the fact that because the flow is so high of people that we're encountering, that if we would place them in a facility, we wouldn't be able to manage that capacity. That we just couldn't. We need to have a plan when that COVID-19, when that CDC authority is lifted, because as of right now, we're not able to manage that capacity. So the nationalities, going to the nationality topic, for many years, it was Mexican nationals, the majority of the people we were encountering. So it was very, very easy for us at the border to be able to return them right away because the country to our south was Mexico. And they would accept them back because it's their nationals. And then it became Central Americans. And again, we have great agreements, wonderful agreements with Central America, where we're able to fly them back home. They're repatriation agreements. And we would have flights, the agreements with both countries, so that we were able to fly those folks back home as well. And then the majority in some years were families. So the families would be returned as well. Well, in recent years now, that population or that demographic is no longer families, and it's no longer Mexican nationals, it's no longer Central Americans. Now we're looking at populations that are coming from farther south or in other hemispheres, right? So we're talking about Venezuela, and we pay very close attention. We have now a Border Patrol agency that is very involved and very much focused on what's going on around the world. It's very important for us to know what's going on around the world, because whatever goes on around the world is going to impact us on this border. Super important, because we see it. In a few months or in a few weeks, we start seeing the increase. When Venezuela was going through the turmoil, we knew within a few months we were going to start seeing some of the Venezuelan nationals at our border, and in fact it happened. The Haitian nationals has been a consistent thing because of the turmoil that was happening in Haiti, and that continues to happen, right? Then Nicaragua has become now a concern, because that continues to see the flow of Nicaraguenses that are coming through our border area. So it's a different Colombians is the other one. It's a different types of nationalities that we just see. Here for the Rio Grande Valley, I think our number one nationality right now is Nicaragua, followed by Honduras. And then I think third place is Mexican nationals, which is unbelievable to me, because it used to be Central Americans. We were the sector known to be receiving most of Central American countries, but Nicaragua somehow jumped to the top. In El Paso, it's mostly Venezuelan nationals, and then followed by Nicaraguenses as well, Nicaragua. and then Haiti. So it's not even Mexican nationals in that sector. So it kind of varies, right, per region. And then you look at criminality as well, right? The type of encounters that you have with people who have like different type of criminal records, and people that they encounter that come with like different types of warrants of arrest as well, because many of them, remember, they at one time or another have crossed the border illegally and served time in the United States, but then were actually returned or deported or removed, and then they made their entry again. When they were banned that you can't come back, right? So they did, so then they're gonna get processed again. So there's a lot of variants, very different types of encounters, I should call them right now, that we encounter at the border. And we just have to always dissect and figure out. That's why I always say, for us, the most important mission of all, in all the process of immigration, right? Because a lot of times we get so complicated in the immigration process that I say, agents focus on one thing: the identification and the classification of people. That's it. Don't worry about the third, the fourth, the fifth, the 14th step of the immigration process. The who and the what. That's all you gotta worry about. We're gonna identify them and we're gonna classify them. We just gotta know who it is and what they bring. Who are they? That's what we gotta worry about. We take fingerprints, we take facial recognition, and we input them into a system, and after that, the process takes place, right? But it's super important to us that we identify them. And I think that's where most of the investment, wherever we get the opportunity to ask folks like yourself or others in Congress for support, is technology that helps us identify folks. The technology that helps us have persistent surveillance on the border, that helps us, make our job a little bit easier. Right now in the Rio Grande Valley, as beautiful as it is, we have a lot of encounters with drones, coming from across the Mexican side of the border into the United States. And my concern as a chief is mostly for my agents on the border patrolling, because they're doing counter surveillance on us, right? And when there's a drone doing counter surveillance on us, especially on the personnel on the ground and the soldiers, because right now I have about 200 and maybe 50 Department of Defense soldiers helping us do the mission on the border. They're doing counter surveillance on our operations and where we deploy our border patrol agents. And fortunately, DOD allowed us, we borrowed some technology for counter drone technology to help us. We only have one unit that we're testing right now, and it's been so successful that we've been able to acquire drones that have come across, because we take them over and we bring them down, and we're able to exploit the intelligence out of that, and we're able to find out where it originated from. So we're working very closely with Mexico to be able to make those arrests and be able to prosecute those individuals. But we need more of that. We really do. Because as more technology advances, more of the criminal organizations are also purchasing that technology. I don't know how many times I have heard that when Best Buy orders pallets of drones, like within a day, they're out of it. The drones are gone. They get purchased immediately from the stores, because guess who's buying them? The criminal organizations locally. And that's a huge concern for us, because they're using it against us, right? And and these people are not too smart, because they record when they're launching the drone. Their faces are on the video. So we love that. I mean, we love it. And it's a drone, so the GPS is recorded on that. So we love that. So don't share that information with anybody. But we want them to keep doing that. But unfortunately, over 24,000 detections of drones in RGV since we started tracking it last year. So that's a lot, and it's very concerning. So technology for counter drone technology is what the Border Patrol needs right now in the Rio Grande Valley, right? And then I want to make sure that I share a really good story with you all, because it's something new that we started to do and invest in. One of the things that we always do, because we have to process people that enter into our country, we just have to, whether it's at a port of entry or between them, we have to process them. Border Patrol agents, by their mere nature, they get trained at Border Patrol Academy, right, for 4.5 months. Border Patrol agents get paid really good money to go do patrol and national security duties. They don't like processing. So most of their complaining is processing. So we said, finally, let's figure it out. Let's make a position that all they do is, it's a civilian position to process. So we finally got it done. Office of Personnel Management approved it, and now we have a processing position. And we hired people to do processing, and it's going really well, but we need more of them. So those are some of the things that we're pushing for. We have about 200 positions here now that are really good for RGV. We have them at the 2 centers. We have 2 large centers, one here in McAllen and one in Donna. And these are civilian positions. These are people that do processing for us, where Border Patrol agents now can be in the field. And that's super important for us because now Border Patrol agents are not in the centers doing that job, they're actually patrolling the border. But we need more of those because our numbers are so high that we still have some agents that have to stay inside those facilities to do the processing that they do. But overall, I think it's a well-done opportunity for us that we took on and something that we finally decided to develop. Similarly, we need to start thinking that way with regards to DOD. DOD are a phenomenal team of people that have been helping us with the persistent surveillance of camera operators. We have the MSC sites, which are our surveillance systems that are deployed in the field. These are cameras with boom boxes that go all the way. These are cameras that go up at different sites to keep an eye on the border, and camera operators that are indoors in our facilities also looking out for us on the border. But they're soldiers. And one day, the Department of Defense is going to say, we need our soldiers back, right? And I couldn't be more understanding because they have a different mission as well to go take care of. So I think that's another area that we need to start looking at and preparing to get camera technicians that we can actually work with OPM on and try to identify a position so that when that day comes, we also are able to fulfill that requirement and not go back to using Border Patrol agents for that, because that takes Border Patrol agents from the border as well. So those are some of the things that we've got to start working on as well, so that we're not able to take away agents from the line, because I think that's where we open up gaps. And we don't need that right now. We need as many of the agents on our border as possible. The migration flow that happens on our borders, especially areas like Del Rio, the scenes that you see or you hear about on TV in Del Rio is real. It's a lot of numbers of people just coming in droves, as I mentioned, from different nations. Same thing with El Paso and in Yuma, right? We look at 3 things always, and these are tools in the toolbox for the Border Patrol. It's border barrier systems, it's technology, and it's personnel. Those are the 3 things, but they have to work together. One is not over the other or better than the other. All 3 work together, and the personnel is invaluable. It will always be the golden ticket, because personnel is the one that helps us to get out there, to help and be there with the people that they encounter, right? The technology is always going to be invaluable because it makes our job way easier. And the barrier is never going to be built to stop migration. But many people think that that's why it's built. Barrier is there to slow migration down a bit for us so we can manage it better, so that we're able to get to respond to it in a more effective way. It's not there to stop it. It can't. People are going to exploit it every time. They're going to find ways to do it. Cut it, torch it, run over it, break it. They're going to find a way. There are areas. I have worked on the northern border. I have worked on the southern border, 2 tours to DC. I have worked for 5 different administrations in my career. There are areas on this border that connect to Mexico with roads that connect between south and north, wide open, where cars drive in and out like nothing, right? There are vehicle barriers. We call them Normandy fencing, but it's really vehicle barriers that we put like this, steel fencing, that they get cut all the time, right? But we put cabling so that they're able to, like, it's just detection for us, so that when they cut it, at least we know they cut it, because it takes us an hour to get to it. But we need something so that we're able to know that they just drove through. Because sometimes if it's people, we don't know what people. We don't know if it's a migrant from Central America or if it's someone from Afghanistan. We don't know if it's someone that's here for a job in the camps, or if it's someone who's trying to evade because they're here for something different, right? So barrier is as simple as something that's gonna help us manage flow better. So it's 3 different pillars that we look always as a combination to help us manage migration flow. But migration is not something that we control. We are responsive to migration, and we're the first line to encounter it between the ports of entry. You know, I was just in Panama last week. They asked me to go down there with a few folks from CBP. And I jumped at the opportunity because I had been wanting to go down there, because we always talk about our border, but we never talk about point of origin. And I talked to you earlier about how important it is to pay attention to what is going on around the world, because whatever happens in countries around the world, it's gonna impact our border here in the United States, especially on the southern border. And being in Panama was a huge eye-opener for me, because I had heard of Panama, and I had heard of the Darien jungle. Had you ever heard of the Darien Gap? Anyone? Raise your hand if you had. The Darien Gap. This is the border between Colombia and Panama. This is a jungle. Migrants cross this jungle, and they come through Colombia, right? Many of them come from Ecuador. Many of them come from Colombia. They have to go through Colombia to enter this area. They are charged $3,000 to come from Colombia into the Darien Gap. At the Darien Gap, they have to go, I think they told me 1,500 kilometers. And then there's a river. From the river, they go into a migrant camp. At that migrant camp, and there's a different video, there it is. I was in this helicopter with Senafront. Senafront is the Border Patrol of Panama. And they showed me this migrant camp here. This migrant camp is staffed by Red Cross and different migrant organizations. And this is not a detention center. This is nothing where they're detained. This is a helping center. This is where they get fed, they're able to bathe, they're able to get some nutrition, some food, and prepare for the long journey, to continue on their journey, right? And they told me that from this center, it takes them 30 days to be at the US-Mexico border. From this migrant camp, it'll take them 30 days to get to our border here. But the majority get charged $40 per person. This is a river from Colombia to Panama. And that now the farmers that used to farm some of this land, they've left farming because it doesn't make as much money as $40 a head. So they built boats now, so that now the boats, now they make more money because it's $40 a head. They can put 42 people in a boat to cross them through that river all day long, and they operate from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So they make more money to cross them over. And it's $40. So they operate in dollars, so it's $40 a person. And then they drop them there at the camp, they get fed, they sleep, they shower, and then they go on their trek. And as we were flying pretty low, we could see the groups of people walking. And as it took an hour from the city of Panama, from the airport, to fly to this camp, it took us an hour on helicopter. And I saw the groups going through this jungle, and that jungle is dense, it is thick. I just can't imagine people walking through that. They said between there and Panama, it'll take them a good 6 days, probably, to get to the city. And I said, well, what kind of wildlife is out here? He goes, well, there's jaguars, there's snakes, all sorts of snakes, venomous snakes. It's wildlife, it's a wild jungle in there, right? So at the end of the day, this is some of the things that these people go through. And as a human being, I mean, I feel terrible for them, because they already start a very treacherous journey. How can you not feel sad for them, right? For the journey that they start. And that's I share that with you all, because at the end of the day, for us as Border Patrol agents, we see that every day. There are stories, I assure you, that you will never ever hear about Border Patrol agents and what we do for these people. And it just warms my heart, because I get to see them, right? I get to know about them. Border Patrol agents are some of the most humanitarian individuals that this world has in its ranks, especially this agency has in its ranks. And to see, and I showed this video on my social media, and I'm gonna show it at the musters because many of them don't follow social media, because I want them to see that. I think it brings a lot of understanding for the journey that these migrants take, so that this educates more of our agents a lot to have empathy for these individuals when they do encounter them. Many of them I witnessed in El Paso when they crossed. They had no idea where they were. When they crossed, the Venezuela's nationals and Nicaraguenses, when they crossed the border and they got to the US, I was there with my troops, and I remember asking them in Spanish, do you know where you are? And they said, no, we're in Texas. Well, this is Texas? I said, yes, but do you know where? They said, no, but in the US, this is Texas. I said, yes, El Paso. We're in El Paso, we're in El Paso. That they started yelling among each other. And then they dropped to their knees and they put their hands up to the sky, thanking the Lord that they were in the United States, in El Paso, Texas. Yeah, that's real. That's what happens. And those are the things we, the agents of the U.S. Border Patrol, encounter each and every day. But that's who we are, and that's the mission that we do. And that's what we balance, right? National security and the humanitarian mission that we have. So every time that you all are out there or you encounter a Border Patrol agent, you thank them and you tell them thank you, and that you appreciate them, because I do every day. Because we get a lot of criticism, we got a lot of love, but we also get a lot of criticism, but they don't know. They don't know the challenges that we have. We do our job, but we do it with a heart, because at the end of the day, these are human beings that we treat in every day, and I leave you with that thought. We're the people that will always protect this country, because it is a country that we love. It is a country that we're going to continue to protect because of the love that we have, not only for the opportunities that they give us, but also because of the oath that we take to the Constitution. It's not one or the other, it is the Constitution. And it is with the heart that we have for the love that we have for you all and the American people that we serve. So God bless all of you. I thank you for your time today on a Saturday and this beautiful, beautiful day here in Brownsville, Texas. So God bless you and thank you for your attention today. Thank you. Thank
you. In closing, I do want to share our appreciation. Thank you for what you do for us every day.